All I can tell you is that a guy actually put our logo. He did his whole skull. He shaved his head and has literally the Liquid Death logo all over his head. And you can Google this, probably on our Instagram. I'm sure we posted about it. He literally did his whole skull, but it meant that much to him. Like, to be literally, he's going to carry that around on his head the rest of his life. But in my head, I was like, that's brand equity.
Liquid Death. If you haven't been paying attention, you probably should. My name is Cole Heilborn, and I host a podcast called the Backcountry Marketing Podcast that interviews leaders in the outdoor marketing industry, where we talk all things marketing. In this episode, I chat with Stix. He's the VP of Cult Indoctrination, yes, that's a title, at Liquid Death. And he gives us a detailed behind-the-scenes look into how the Liquid Death brand has been built from the ground up. This canned water company has taken the internet and world by storm with a creative yet polarizing approach to marketing and brand building. If you don't love them, chances are you hate them. And in fact, Stix would tell you that if that's the case, then they're doing their job well. If you want to learn more about how they've built this brand, I encourage you to sit back, relax, grab a can of Liquid Death, and enjoy the conversation. Welcome to the Backcountry Marketing Podcast. My name is Cole Heilborn. Today, I'm sitting down with Stephen Nilsen, aka Stix. He is the Vice President of Cult Indoctrination over at Liquid Death. Stix, how are you?
I'm great, Cole. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. How is your day going?
Can't complain, man. Every day above ground's a great day, right? I love. This is actually a pleasant break from my craziness of my day to day. So thank you.
Things sound like they're running a million miles an hour over there. I appreciate you making the time. I'm personally super excited to have this conversation. I feel like you guys have come out of left field in a matter of no time. You seem to be everywhere these days.
But it's music to my ears that you say that, but it's all been by design. But it was a slow burn to start. But I think that why it's working is that my hat's off to Mike Cesario, the founder and the visionary of this, is that he's very smart at getting the right people. And I think when you get the right people in place, magic happens. And you may all be like, oh, well, of course, you get the right people. There's just a lot of people that go through the motions out there, and they've worked for really good brands. And that's it. They love to tell everyone they work for X brand. And he and I both agree we're looking for people that have a hand on the wheel. And what we mean by that is that if you were at a brand and you were very successful when that brand took off, we want the people that had a hand help do that versus they were just kind of there. You're just, you had a function, but you weren't really leading the charge. And I think that to your point, when we started, to be honest with you, we kind of got, this is more figurative speaking, but doors slammed in our face. Like, good luck with your canned water. And I knew from day one when I first got my hands on the product, and then Mike and I spoke, that he was onto something. Like, I just know. And then it's very ironic that I happen to be in the beverage industry, even though I started my career in the snowboard business. And he's been very, very strategic about who we bring aboard. And frankly, I am too, with my own team. They have to go through their own screening, whether they know it or not, on if they're coming aboard. And that's really what I believe in life. We had a few duds here or there? Sure. And that's going to happen everywhere. Perfectly nice people. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but just wasn't keeping up with our pace. So what you're seeing, thank you, is the fruits of our labor of moving fast, moving smart, right? And what's the word? Or work smarter, not harder. But that's what we've had to do. But it's crazy. It's the craziest I've ever been in my career, but it's the most fulfilled I've ever been. So
we're going to dive in deep in a moment, but let's give maybe just a little background first on the company for folks who maybe haven't heard of you, who aren't familiar with what you guys do. So first, what is Liquid Death? What do you guys offer?
We are a canned water company, but we're a brand. We don't just say we're a water company. But the idea behind it, and again, I'm going to pull Mike into this, is that to make a very long story short, he's a creative. He comes from the advertising business, worked on some major brands. And he kind of had his epiphany like I've had in my career, but he basically one day said, you know what, why is it that all the best ideas I have are basically cast it away and they take the most conservative route when I know this would transform the brand if you followed me? And I still laugh, and I don't remember the exact number, but he basically had his epiphany. He just snapped one day and said, you know what, just give me $100,000. I'm going to put it in the parking lot right now in front of our agency, and we're just going to set it on fire, because that's what's going to happen with the creative you picked over what I did. The other thing is, Mike was really intrigued with Red Bull, where I had been when that first started. And his whole thing was, why is it that all the brands, let's use Skittles, Doritos, you could argue energy drinks, beer, things that are not good for you, having the most fun? Why is that? Meanwhile, name something supernatural, healthy, really, really good for you that's cool. I couldn't name one brand, and someone could argue maybe some type of granola bar or some type of thing, but still, that's, unless you're a diehard, like in triathlete or something, no one cares about that, And Mike was able to sprinkle in, it's, again, he and I are thick as thieves this way, is punk rock, metal, snowboarding, skateboarding, that is something that so let's have fun with this. And I think people get a little carried away and they go, liquid death, because death is polarizing. They would talk about death as, it's death to plastic. Relax. That's what it is. And on top of that, we donate a portion of our proceeds, our actual profits, to cleaning up the oceans of plastic. So we have 3 charitable partners, 2 of which that's what they do. They fetch plastic out of the ocean. And I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't realize until I came aboard with Mike how bad the plastic problem is on this earth. And I mean, I'm really embarrassed to say it, but it is gnarly. And so if we can do some good, all right, if we can get people to drink more water and force them to, in a perfect world, everyone would have their own water bottle and use that. But it's tough with pandemic, especially to have these common water stations. If we can do that and then give back, we're doing our job and have some fun. That's what we want to do. That's just like, people, again, don't hydrate enough, but these kids now look at it and they go, wow, it looks like I'm drinking a beer, kind of like candy cigarettes or whatever back in the day. They feel like they're doing something naughty, but we're actually something super, super healthy for you. And parents are gravitating now, wow, because of you, my child's hydrating. So that it's a very long story, kind of condensed down, of how this came to be. But again, every day is a new adventure, and it's fun because we're winning people over. We just have to tell our story. And I think from a distance, again, people think we're a crummy drink or a beer or something, and we're not. We're water.
So you offer still water, sparkling water, and you've semi-recently come out with flavored water, correct?
Yes. Yep. We do a berry, a mango, and a lime.
So I love your guys' mission, the whole liquid death to plastic. And I think I was watching one of your videos, and there's a statistic that really hit home. What is it, like by 2050, pound for pound, there'll be more plastic in the ocean than fish?
Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, I mean, I know people are taking adjustments at this rate. Yeah, that wouldn't be surprising, which is really sad. And speaking of percentages, I think it's 10% of the plastic in the last 40 years has actually been recycled. I mean, it's not profitable in this day and age. Unfortunately, unless things are profitable, nobody will touch it. So, hate to say it, but a lot of this recycling stuff is a sham. Like, it's not. It's basically just puppetry, And so, in glass, though it is more recyclable than plastic, it's still not that profitable. But if you look at aluminum, it's 70%, something like that, is still in circulation from like turn of the century. Like, it's that recyclable. So that's something that's very important to remember.
Yeah. And from a business structure perspective, are you guys more of an e-com or a D2C? Or a retail, excuse me.
More e-com. I mean, obviously, retail, we would be on this. The most important thing is the real estate on shelves. But we have e-com business and the partners that we have. But, Amazon's been great for us, as for, I'm sure for a lot of brands too. But ironically, during pandemic, when pandemic hit, we were only a year old, basically. And wow, like pandemic, but we still had a lot of education to convince people that what the can they were seeing was actually water. But because of that, we were deemed essential. So we were kind of pushed to the front of the line of Amazon when pandemic hit, So that was huge, huge. But we have, the business has really been booming everywhere, and it's a pleasant surprise. Even these big box stores that wouldn't touch us before, these retailers are it's all about velocity at retail, and we've had some great velocity, because real estate's everything, right? You got to get that shelf space, and you got to make sure you keep that shelf space too once you get it. Like, meaning fulfill all the inventory, keep on that. And we have an amazing logistics team, that are veterans that keep just every day bird dogging this to make sure that our customers are taken care of.
So there's a number of things I think folks find you guys really interesting. And it's amazing. if you haven't looked up Liquid Death, folks, I encourage you to go Google them, look them up on Instagram, and watch some of their videos. Just scroll through the comments, and there's an insane amount of love and hate at the same time directed towards you guys. And what I find really interesting is water is a commodity, but you've made such an incredible brand around something as simple as water. And I'm curious, why did this first start? Why was there this interest in building a brand out of canned water?
Again, it's what's ironic, but not many people know this, is that Mike actually looked at brandy, believe it or not. Like, no one had done anything in brandy, and it was intriguing, kind of took a shot in the dark with that. But then what I said earlier, like, the water business, like, if you look at it, really, there's a few higher end brands that have done some things that try to be at the more shishi events, so to speak. They kind of hang their hat on that, but the packaging isn't good, and there isn't really a ton of brand equity behind it. It's just kind of it's all about their packaging, and they're trying to kind of position their name as being we're high end, we're more sophisticated. And there's some of those brands out there, but no one had done anything in the space at all. And again, it's what is the healthiest beverage in the world you can consume? The healthiest thing, right? Beverages. And who are we kidding? Look at some of the bigger companies on this earth are beverage companies, not necessarily water, but right. It's massive. It's massive like that. Right. And, again, Mike's sitting there going, the light bulb went off. We could have so much fun with this, with the healthiest thing on the earth, but absolutely. And what people realize is that those giant shrink wrap 30 packs you see at a gas station getting bleached in the sun, retailers hate those. Like, they take up all their floor space. There's like razor thin margins, and look at the crap that you're putting back in landfill. I mean, it's just not good all around. And it's tap water. It's not going to kill you. It's not anything that's going to harm you, but it's not quality water. It's just survival is what you're buying, And the other thing is, you want to make something a premium. Like, you have to have premium water. And that's why in Austria, one of the few facilities where it goes from the ground into a canning facility. So it's not being touched by anything. It's that pure. So our water purity tests are on our website. You can look at them and ask away with that if you have any questions on it. But we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're having a premium product, and that's the biggest pushback we have, is that when people see our pricing, they're like, wait a second, I'm not going to pay $2 for a can of water. Okay, then don't. But what I use alcohol as an example. Like, you can't expect Tito's for well vodka pricing. It doesn't work that way. Like, you got to have a premium brand. You're going to pay for it. Do you want JanSport or do you want a Louis Vuitton? It's up to you. Like, you figure out that's brands. And I'd like, I can say from experience that Louis Vuitton makes very high quality product. It's not just, some people have been able to slap logos on things, but that doesn't last. So the product doesn't last. It comes back to bite them in the end. There's a reason why Louis Vuitton is probably the most valuable brand in the world, and their stuff stands the test of time. It does. So you're paying for quality. I'm not saying the JanSport backpack won't hold up either. There's just nothing sexy about that. There isn't. That is sheer, I need to carry things from point A to point B. It may have a little tassels on it or little colors or something, but it doesn't hold that chain cachet,
Yeah. I'd love if you could give us just a quick background on yourself, and could you break down what your role is with the company as the vice president of cult indoctrination?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm going to make a long story short. I actually, when I was growing up, your options for career was, meaning if you want to make a good living at the time, was doctor, lawyer, stockbroker. That was kind of it. That was the ones you did. And I had no interest in any of them. And I'm the only one in my family of 6 that doesn't have a master's degree. I have my undergrad, a BA, but I really thought that the least painful job I could ever have would be I honed in on copywriting, advertising. And that's what I studied in school. It was mass communications, it was PR, marketing, advertising. So again, to make a very long story short, I interned a lot during college. I interned for a pro hockey team. I interned for Northwest Airlines, which became Delta. This is all in Minneapolis, by the way, where I was raised. I interned at Carmichael Lynch ad agency, which still exists to this day. Got to work on the Harley Davidson account. But the funny thing, people didn't realize at the time, like, cool, I get to work on Harley Davidson. And then the other account I worked on was Anderson Windows, which was not as sexy. So you got to realize you take the good with the bad, right? But this was all learning experiences. And I got I received college credit for it. So after that, I'd gone to school in Australia, and I moved to Australia after I graduated college. And it was more just to figure out what I was going to do with my life. But I worked for a nonprofit down there called Land of Oz Consulting. And I was writing copy for the Arthritis Foundation of New South Wales. I haven't told many people this, but I lived on Bondi Beach. So I got to surf, though I'm still not very good. I paddle out anywhere, but I got addicted to that. And that's where I had my epiphany. I wanted to be in action sports. And I got back to the States and started pounding the pavement. And that's when the apex of snowboarding was just bananas. They'd all been eaten skiing alive, and just image-wise. And got a job with the brand Airwalk, which was the once mighty Airwalk. That was probably the brand in action sports. And I could write a book on that. I used that as an example. That was my MBA on how not to do business, what they did with that brand. And then was recruited by this thing called Red Bull that no one had ever heard of. And went over there as one of their first sports marketing managers. There was 5 of us. Learned a ton there. Still really good friends with Red Bull. Couldn't have more respect for them, what they built. And then from there, I went to resuscitate this fledgling beer brand called Pabst Blue Ribbon that at one point was arguably the biggest beer in America. And then that also lost its way. And I went over there to rebuild that brand with an amazing group of people. And then Mike and I were connected by snowboarding, ironically, through friends. And just, we talked on the phone for 3 hours. First time we were chatting, we were so on the same page. And he'd done some digging, and he liked my work at Pabst and at Red Bull, and obviously knew I'd been at Airwalk, and was just, it was a no-brainer. Like, we just, right out of the gate, I could tell he was a guy just outside of, he's my boss and founder. He's going to be a friend forever. Like, we just have the same likes, of things. So that's a really, really long-winded way. I mean, I could tell you how I got my job. I could tell you all this stuff, but that's essentially my career. And now what I have done is built this amazing team. And our focus, honestly, more than anything, is cans and hands. And so when I said cult indoctrination, that is like exposing the brand to people and getting them really excited and want to be a part of the brand. And so I don't run around and write checks. I refuse to sponsor athletes. I don't let anyone use our logo. Keep everything close to the vest. But we want to bring forefront that hydrating is so important. And we're trying to do our part with we're going to, again, share our profits cleaning up the ocean. But at the same time, again, creating a brand that people want to wear. Like, it's that important to you. And that's one thing I learned at Pabst Blue Ribbon, is that people were getting tattoos of Pabst Blue Ribbon. At one point, I think Pabst was rivaling, if not more than Harley, as far as body tattoo. I don't know who did that study or who came up with it, but it's crazy, the amount of tattoos. That's brand, like, value right there. I mean, that's something that people are going to tattoo their body for the rest of their life. We're having it happen in liquid death now. We can't even keep up with the photos that are coming in. So that is it. But my job is literally, I always joke, it's like crack dealing, first sample's free, right? You get it out there to people, but we're doing it in a very credible manner. We're never telling anyone what we'll have questions like yours, what the brand is, but it's let people decide for themselves. We're never going to jam it down their throat. We're never going to, just like, but we want to be able to get it at arm's reach. And it's taken a ton of sampling to get there, but that's the way Red Bull started too. I mean, everyone listening right now has seen the little Red Bull cars with the can on the back, the Wings team. They're going out and getting cans in hands. And that's one of the things I learned at Red Bull, because again, back those days, people were like, how dare you sell an 8-ounce can for $2? What is this? Like, how dare you come into our country and, when I get a Coke for whatever. And Dietrich, the founder, is like, we're premium. Like, we're a premium product that actually, if you hydrate correctly and you have nutrition and you take care of it, you could, it's not guaranteed, increase your reaction speed. And we have this clinicals to show you. We have actual scientific data to show you that it could help you. It could help your metabolism. That other people can argue you're going to have a heart attack and die, or it's horrible for you. Anything you have too much of. You could die of too much water, for Pete's sake. You got to be, it's moderation, right? But this whole, again, the culmination of my career is where I'm at right now. So it's like basically now bringing in a team of people that I know that can get the job done. They're going to help spread the word, the liquid death in a credible manner. But have them really people believe in what we're doing as a brand. And I think once you explain it, they do. They're like, wow, and you're always going to have your haters. But the way I look at it is, if you have some haters, as you commented on, you're doing something right, because more often than not, they're just jealous. The people want to poke a hole in it. And, I don't know if you saw that we did 2 albums, one metal, one punk, called Greatest Hates 1 or 2, where we took all the hate comments from social media. So thank you, haters. You gave us all the ammunition we needed, and we made a punk and a metal album, which both sold out, by the way. You can get them on Spotify, but the vinyl actually sold out. So we're going to do that. Come take a run at us, please. And we're never going to be high on our horse. We're never going to be arrogant or vain. But if you come at us, get ready, because we have some really, really creative minds internally that we will undress you. We're not going to be mean. We're not going to do it. But boy, if you're going to come at us, we're going to have a lot of fun. Look no further than our Instagram. Just wait till you see the hater comments. And what we take, like, we laugh about some of the responses that are going to go up. So just know we're having fun here. We're not going to start trouble, but boy, I tell you, you're tugging on Superman's cape if you're really going to come with some weak argument on what we're up to, you know?
One of my favorite songs was the song titled Fire Your Marketing Guy.
Yeah, I guess myself and the others would get fired. Apparently we suck, but Mike somehow believes in us. I'm joking, but we are actually held to quite high standards over here. So there is no rest for the wicked at all. And I think when I said that some folks went to the wayside, it wasn't that they were bad people. It was just they couldn't keep up with the pace that was expected. And so I make that very clear of potential employees. Like, it's this nuts. Like, this is a rocket ride. And truthfully, this is a crazier trajectory than my time at Red Bull 20 years ago. And look where Red Bull is. Just saying. The sun never sets on Red Bull. It's like the early British Empire, right? You can't go to a country now. And I believe there was some where Red Bull finally did make it to every country. Like, it was some remote outpost in Africa or somewhere they finally could get Red Bull there. Like, that's insane.
Wow.
Like, Coca-Cola had done that forever ago, right? But still, for an energy drink to claim that, and that's one of the reasons why they have such a stronghold in the number one position, is that they've had their business chipped away at big time by other brands in the U.S. But that's also because packaging size changed. Things were supersized. But Red Bull not only has the international market, but they do huge in the on-premise, meaning bars and nightclubs. Because once the Red Bull vodka phenomenon happened, no one's ever going to ask for X energy drink vodka. It's not going to happen. It ain't. The problem they've had was they've had imposters come in, and someone will say, I want a Red Bull vodka, and they give them an imposter, because there was a company that came out that actually tastes just like Red Bull. And bars, of course, it's all about profits, right? And they don't want to give the perfect pour, which is the can with a glass of vodka. So they would put out a bunch of drinks and put this fake in and then top it off with Red Bull. So it's actually fake. That's why when anyone goes to a restaurant now and you say, may I have a Coke? 99% of the time they say, is Pepsi okay? If it's not Coke, because they have to, because it's called passing off. So a little nugget of information there. Anyone orders a Coke or Pepsi, the restaurants are required to say, if they're a Coke place and you ask for Pepsi, hey, is Coke okay? They have to say that. So just so you know, because what's happening is that everyone's cannibalizing each other. And I can tell the difference with things myself. Maybe I'm just in the flavor profiles, but I could tell in a second if something's out of Coca-Cola. So little nuggets.
So I was trying to remember the first time I was introduced to Liquid Death, and I think it was a video featuring Tony Hawk, where you guys took some of Tony Hawk's blood and mixed it into paint, and then created a limited run of skateboard decks with his blood in the paint. And after that moment, I was like, who on earth are these guys? What are they doing? And that's not the wildest thing that you guys have done up to this point. I'd love if you could kind of just give us the quick rundown of some of your favorite projects that you've undertaken.
Oh, boy. Well, the Tony one was a pleasant surprise for sure. That took on a mind of its own, honestly. And the nice thing is Tony was so Tony really admires the brand too and what we've done. And we didn't realize, nor did he, that was going to take off the way it did. And even those boards literally overnight were showing up for thousands of dollars on like eBay, which a lot of times that's going to happen. And again, it's flattering if someone believes in a brand that much that they would do that. And again, like I said, with the greatest hates, things we've done with that. I don't know if you just saw that we had the hydration assistant that we just had, where a lot of these leagues, obviously they're huge conglomerates. It's very, very tough to crack that. Rightly so, because they're worth billions and billions of dollars. And there's a lot of underserved people that are part of those cogs in the machines there. And everyone, again, needs water. So the idea was to literally have a tryout like you'd have a combine and have people come out who are hydration assistants for, we can't use water boy, water girl for collegiate teams, for NFL teams, and we actually locked someone in, which is pretty funny. We had Bert Kreischer. He's involved with us, the comedian, and we did a whole workout program for him, all the way down to his own custom drawers, shall we say. But he did his own workout video, which, is only Bert can, as you can imagine. It was really fun. We did another program where we actually took the most expensive things, beverages on earth, and did a taste test with people. And it was pretty funny to see people trying like beluga caviar, and next to liquid death. And of course, what are they going to pick? So again, we're putting a twist on things, that people otherwise would just do the regular, we're just going to do a taste test. No, it's actually a taste test in a liquid death manner, which is super fun to do that. Man, we have so many other ones where we actually did a contest where people would skate their house. This is during pandemic, where having people turn their house into a skate park, and how creative people could be with that and putting a scene together. And it was these Dern brothers out of Florida. It's the most insane clip you've ever seen. And it's not edited at all. It's like a follow cam. It's one thing to even skate what they did through their parents' house, like through they have almost a little compound. But then to actually be the follow cam person was unbelievable, to see what those guys had done. But when you give people these ideas, like, hey, we'll do it, it's amazing what even the public will come back with, right? Which is super fun for us to see. Like, let individuals, if it's a like solid enough idea, we'll let people go with it. We did some stuffed animals called Cutie Palooties. And again, bringing back to the subject of pollution, where there are these grotesque looking stuffed animals that, as a turtle with straws coming out of its eyes, or a dolphin that's cut open with plastic coming out of its belly. Yeah, it looked a little shocking, but it's more of, this is what is happening right now. So these cute, cuddly little toys now, and some kids are probably scratching their head like, wait a second here, like what? That's a deformed little bear or whatever, or not bear, the turtle, things like that. So those were just as a quick example of the things that we've gotten involved in, and there's more to come, which is super fun because again, we have so many things in the hopper coming up. I'm really excited to see what the reaction is from the public.
There's one project that you guys came out with that I have yet to watch. You shot a feature film, is that right?
Yep. We did shoot a feature film. We did that, and that was all Mike and co, which is really fun. Like, again, it's called Murder Till Death. We actually released a VHS tape, which sold out of that. But yeah, Murder Till Death is the name of the movie. And the premise of it is kids go camping. It's usually, as you can imagine, with any horror film. And they end up littering, and the cans come back to stalk them, basically, liquid death cans. So that's the gist of it. But it's really funny. We did a premiere in LA and had a really good turnout, and it's great.
So I know you can't talk about, what's up and coming, and that's fair. I'm curious though if we could spend a little bit of time talking about the ideas and what does the creative process look like for some of this stuff, and what is inbounds and what is outbounds. So first, I know you've got a pretty amazing team that you guys have put together, and it sounds like a lot of these ideas come from this team with a lot of diverse backgrounds. Could you kind of give us the quick explanation of the folks who are on the team and how that contributes to what you guys produce?
Yeah, I mean, Mike, coming from the advertising world, quite a few of our employees are ex-agency people. And now through that, truthfully, we do get some ideas from friends in the industry, meaning in that, because they realize right well that if they come up with something that's a hammer, meaning an amazing idea, want to go forward, we'll give them credit. Don't get me wrong, but we're not saying that here's an agency of note. This is our quote unquote agency. We get pitched by agencies all day long, and I don't blame them. They're doing their work, but they want to just sink their claws in liquid death because they know they could have so much fun. I ran into the same thing at Pabst. I refused to let us use an agency at Pabst because I knew it would get lost. I knew that these people, all they saw was what we were churning out, and they thought they knew what it meant. And then they'd pitch me blindly, and they'd use the word hipster, which is like the worst thing in the world you could ever say, because it was like, yeah, you could argue early on the resurgence of these hipsters who are now all in the suburbs with kids who aren't even relevant anymore, but they just didn't get it. And it's like, unless you're on the inside and you hear how and what we're trying to do, too many people guess. Like, and the death thing, like, we get pitched on things that are like the occult and people sacrificing or witchcraft. We're never going to touch any of that. We're not going to touch a pentagram or an upside down cross, right? You're taking us way too seriously. Like, no. And it shows you how you don't understand the brand. But honestly, there is no whiteboard that says that we have to do these topics. We have to do that. It's like thinking about our brand, the way Liquid does, what could we do with the Web World twist? Let's go back to the hydration assistant. Again, I'm not going to sponsor athletes, but like the Paps days, I didn't go and take care of the marketing head. I'd go around and make sure that we took care of the bar back. We took care of the lifty at the ski area. We took care of the lifeguard. We took care of the sous chef. We took care of the people who never get any love at all. And they end up being the most loyal people because they realize, wow, you really do care. And they're the ones who are making things happen. And so we're trying to think of fun ways of certain things out there. How can we put a twist on it? The Liquid Death twist. But we want people to leave going, God, that's really interesting, or that's effing hilarious. You know, that's what we want people to leave. Like, that's so Liquid Death. Now, have every single one of our ideas hit like we thought? No, I don't think anyone could ever say they're batting 1,000 when it comes to CPG/marketing. But we're dang close, like with people going, wow, like that's really creative, you know? And that's the best punch in the arm you can get, is not only peers, but just society in general saying, I love seeing what you guys are up to. And you can't put a price tag on that. When people like pine to see what you're doing next, that is like invaluable. I mean, look at, love him or hate the guy, Kanye West, Yeezy, right? People can't wait to see what he comes out with. One minute he's doing some of the Balenciaga, like with Gap, and the next minute he's designing a box for McDonald's. Again, love or hate him, the dude is like an institution. He's created a brand, his own personal brand that, yeah, you're going to have tons of haters, but he's, again, just jealous. But the dude, you can't not watch him, what he's doing, you know? I mean, he's just, and again, I'm not like, I'm into what he does per se. I respect the guy, though. I respect his hustle, you know? And I think most people can see they respect our hustle here. And we're trying to do some good. We really are. Bottom line. Trying to hydrate more people, and we're trying to bring that plastic problem to the forefront.
So you mentioned that it's really important for the brand to take care of everyone else, the people who don't often get the limelight, hence the whole Water Boy, Water Girl project. Why, and you said, I won't sponsor athletes. Why? How does that back up against the ethos of the brand?
Well, because why sponsor one person when you can take care of a whole scene, you know? So why, you know, especially in this day and age of social media, and that's when I have identical twins that are about to be 18. It is true that internet's forever, right? And all you need is one silly thing to happen, good, bad, or otherwise, and it could tarnish a whole brand, right? And I'm not so much worried about that as I am, there's so many people that just expect me because of my background, because I did have a stable of athletes, not at Pass, but at Red Bull, I had tons of athletes in all different sports. And to just, you know, start painting helmets and start playing people, to me, that's been there, done that. To me, I feel like we'd be kind of sloppy seconds on that thing. And I have so many agents and athletes of every sport you can imagine. I mean, even WNBA players, name a sport, they've come at us, which is great. It's super flattering. It's really, I mean, I've had NASCAR teams literally say, we just want to paint our car. You don't have to pay us. That's massive, right? Like, but to me, that says they're trying to stay relevant and they're going to use our brand to try to further their brand. And that's not cool. Like we get a lot of that where there's athletes that probably on the tail end of their career are trying to stay relevant and they want to be sponsored. We're not the catch-all for that. That's not what we're here for, right? We're here to say, so, you know, I have a pro snowboarder on my staff. He's not a sponsored Liquid Death athlete. He is literally still a functioning pro snowboarder, Pat Moore, but he is infiltrating us in the snow. Not just snowboarding, skiing, anything, mountaineering, mountain biking. We're just supporting events. We're supporting the one-off little, and the ones I like the most are the mom and pop little mountains. He's from New Hampshire original. We're doing fun little local mountain events, even if it's as simple as a little rail jam or something. We're going to go there to support it and support their staff, you know. I've got a pro skater, Chris Cole. He's on a team. Again, not a Liquid Death athlete. He's on the marketing team, 2-time Thrasher Skater of the Year, which is basically like being a 2-time Super Bowl winner. Very well respected, still a functioning pro. He's getting us incredibly integrated into skateboarding. And I'm going to drive those words home. Incredibly integrated, right? A lot of brands try to buy their way into things. We don't do that. We don't have to buy our friends, right? We'd like to think we get to the point where we are wanted enough where people just want to be a part of it, just want to wear it, which is hence the NASCAR team saying, we'll just run your colors. That's cool. That really is. But I'm standing by that, and Mike backs me on this. I'm not going to go that route. Again, why sponsor one or two people when I can sponsor a whole thing? Like surfers. A lot of surfers have caught wind now. They love the idea of pulling plastic out of the ocean. Why would I do one surfer if I can? WSL needs water, World Surf League. And Pipeline, why? When I can drop it at the Volcom House. And Pat Tenor, who founded RUCA, is an advisor for us. Why not have it there? They can do it. That's incredibly integrated. Versus me running around saying, here, I'm going to slap this on your board. And when I get these decks, note to everyone, I don't look at them because 90% of what you have in there doesn't apply to us. I don't care about a logo. I don't care about your mention because, frankly, our following is bigger than most anyone else's. I don't care about a banner. I don't care about mentions. I don't care about any of that. It doesn't apply to us. We want cans and hands. We want to indoctrinate people into liquid death, and that is by having them liquid to lips. That's it. It's not, here's your hoodie and your hat. Those are nice add-ons, but that's a nice to have, not need to have. Water is a need to have for 99% of the events out there. So that's my approach.
So credible integration, the goal, well, the rule is we'll never buy ourselves in. We'll figure out a way to become authentic, to use that classic buzzword.
Yeah. And I mean, and on that note, I must interject here. I never pay to be anywhere, ever. So you're going to see us probably floating around Burning Man, for sure Coachella, Fashion Week in New York City, X Games, Art Basel, you name it. You name a moment out there, I will make sure we're there. We're just not paying to be there. Because again, I'm using our brand equity in the way that I'd like to think, my goal at Pabst per se, if you had a Pabst in your hand, 10 years ago, you were cooler because of it. You had that in your hand. That was like, having the latest purse. That was the latest accessory. You had that. You were the person. Same with Liquid Death. Like if we're at that event, I'd like people to go, whoa, we're at the right event. And frankly, that was early Red Bull days. If Red Bull was there, it was the event to be at. And for me, now with the team that I have around covering major markets and whatnot, we're going to be blanketing these events and they need water. And as soon as someone says, if you don't, so-and-so brand is going to give us money. I'm like, first of all, don't ever call me again because don't compare us to that brand because it might be one of the biggest polluters on the earth, right? And no, you need water. And we've got a 16.9 ounce can, which is going to stay cold versus plastic. So do you want us or not? Like that's it. There's no negotiating. Like I don't, and I'm not being arrogant. I'm not being vain. I'm just telling you, I do not have the budgets to be writing checks to people, but I do have product. And I'd like to think with the brand equity too, that it would lend credibility to your event if we're there. And again, it's not always the case. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm very respectful of that. But I don't like this. This used to happen at Red Bull. If you don't do it, then X brand will. Don't ever call me again because we're not like that's other brands, right? And frankly, I made some athletes a ton of money because other energy drinks came in offering 3 times. And so, hey, God bless them. But you do remember when they kick you to the curb, for Red Bull, you're always kind of family, So there's some people that learned the hard way. But whatever, teach their own,
How do you define brand equity, and is there a scale of health for brand equity that you consider?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to describe it is, if I can dumb this down as an example that I experienced, I got us into an event in a venue that was actually a soda venue, but the venue at the banned plastic. So they were in quite the conundrum and the soda company, I'm not even going to read the respect to give you their name because they're such bad polluters. The venue, the event had no choice but to take my water. I was like, you need water for people. You have to, you can sell it. I don't care. I'll give it to you for free. You can sell, I don't care. But for me, I mean, I'm no dummy. I wanted to expose the brand to a bunch of people. And this soda person came over, this rep with way too tight of a golf shirt on. And he's like, well, we're going to start canning our water. And I was like, first of all, I applaud you. Like, that is awesome because you guys are horrific polluters. And that's fine. But you do realize if we put your brand on a trucker hat and set it on the table and put our brand with the trucker hat and set it on the table, what do you think people are going to fight over? No one cares about your brand, your survival. And I didn't say those exact words. I'm not going to be, mean to someone. But in my head, I was like, that's brand equity. What are they going to fight over? What people have to have in their hand? That to wear that is proud to wear that. The other brand was, again, strictly a survival brand. It wasn't anything you would ever, everyone's seen it everywhere. No one's going to wear the shirt or hat. That's brand equity, right? You build it as such. And again, you can't try to be everything to everyone, but there's, you want to have products that also people really like, can really appreciate versus getting lazy. There's thought into our designs. Like my counterpart, Misha, who runs our cult wear. That's literally, she's vice president of cult wear. There's thought that goes into every item that you'll see on our storefront. Like there isn't just, let's just throw a logo on it. This is like, as a matter of fact, he's my counterpart at Pabst, brought him over to Liquid Death. He handles all things art for us. All those pieces are curated with artists. Like we're putting, to me, that's how you build a brand equity. It's the little things. Because oftentimes, especially big brands, they're not patient enough. They need to quote unquote scale everything. Like what is our ROI? I need to see ROI like right now. It doesn't work that way. Okay. I've done this before. I know it works. Okay. This is my fourth stop in my career. I've seen really poor decision making, and I've seen very careful curated decision making, which is Red Bull, and then trying to take that to a brand like Pabst, which used to be quote unquote the crappy beer my grandpa drank. We changed that. We built brand equity there. We made it being the brand that you had to have, even if you didn't like beer. Pabst was the cool, and I'll argue anyone on this. Decade ago, it was the coolest beer brand out there. There wasn't even a close second. Like meaning brand equity wise, where it was like, wow, Pabst this year is cool, and that was all by design. We made swag that you couldn't get your hands on. You had to know someone, or we did these all murdered out black Pabst gear that everyone was used to the red, white, and blue. We changed that. We ended up giving it to roadies and sound people and tour managers and guys who were raking BMX parts. We gave them this stuff, and it was like, where do I get that? Where do I get that? That's creating brand equity. People are like, I got to have my hands on it. And this day and age, people are lazy. They're expected instant gratification. I don't want to work for it. I just want to get, no, actually, you do have to work for it. You want to get your hands on this stuff, you do have to work for it, And so I hope that's a roundabout way of saying it, but it's carefully curated. Now, you could say, well, you guys were lucky. I stand behind the statement, whoever made it up forever ago, it's amazing the luck I have, the harder I work. I stand by that. Because I say, you guys are lucky. We're not lucky at all. This started with Mike and his partner, JR. Literally, this was just an idea. And they're the ones who started. It was two guys, and here we are, right? But bringing people in to understand that there's no gun to our heads. Yeah, we've got to keep the velocity going at retail, like I mentioned. That is everything. But my job, my team's job, is to make it so my salespeople aren't selling, they're taking orders. Where people are like, we have to have that brand. And that's building brand equity. Like, that I saw that brand at this art show. I saw that brand at this record store. I saw it at that tattoo parlor. I saw it at that barber. Those are all image plays. They're not volume. I don't have a gun to my head again about, oh, Stix, you got it in there. They better sell a bunch. Nobody's ever said that. It's like, no, we're in the coolest tattoo parlor or barbershop or beauty salon, nail salon, wherever it's people, yoga studio. We got to have it at arm's reach, man. But that's all done by design. It's not just accident, Now, somehow it's ended up in other people's hands, maybe by accident, I don't know. But for what my team does on a daily, weekly basis, we're laser focused. We're strategic about this. It's not just let's throw a bunch of product everywhere and hope it sticks. So I hope that answers your question on equity.
Is there an example of like if from a customer, someone who's expressed the most extreme amount of brand loyalty to Liquid Death? Do you have a story you can share?
All I can tell you is that a guy actually put our logo, our skull logo, which was done by Will Carsola, Mr. Pickles. He's the one who did our original artwork. He did his whole skull. He shaved his head and has literally the Liquid Death logo all over his head. And you can Google this, probably on our Instagram. I'm sure we posted about it. He literally did his whole skull, but it meant that much to him. Like to be literally, he's going to carry that around on his head the rest of his life, right? But you can't go much more dedicated than inking your skin. Like that is something where we're seeing it more and more. At first it was like, whoa, we were just blown away. Like, oh my God, like this means enough to you. You're going to carry it around the rest of your life. That is insane. And in a cool way. Like we mean that like with all due respect, because Mike is full sleeve tattoos, frankly, most of our company has ink. But that would be the like exhibit A, if I could say that, is someone, the brand means enough to them that they're going to have it on their body the rest of their life. The water is going to come and go through your body, obviously, but that's forever. You could say you could augment laser removal, whatever down the road, but that to me would be the ultimate. Yeah. And then on top of that, just the sheer amount of sponsorship inquiries we get daily, where people are saying, you don't even have to pay me. That's pretty amazing. That someone's saying that I just want to. But the flip side of this, when I really dig too, I find it's people who are, again, aren't relevant or maybe aren't that good, and they're trying to look for a leg up on the competition. And I got burned by a few people where I sent them, water and some swag and whatever, and said, hey, thanks for thinking the brand. And they went ahead and posted on their social they were sponsored by Liquid Death. And that created some problems because I'm like, no, you're not. Because I know a lot of the agents. I know Wasserman, all these people are like, why aren't you sponsoring our XYZ athlete? I'm like, thank you so much. Really respect that. That's really cool. We're not going to be sponsoring the athletes. So didn't mean to go down that road, but you know what I mean? So that's the best way to describe it. When you get to a point with a brand where people are like, you don't have to pay me. I just want your brand on me.
I got to imagine a brainstorming session with the team is a bit of a whirlwind. What does that look like? And are there any principles that you try to stick to as you're working with the team?
For me, I know a lot of the stuff it's pretty hilarious, and I'm not in all that. I'm not that I'm not privy to it. It's just with the way the schedules are. And again, Mike has done a fantastic job of bringing some really super creative people inside. And if there's things that fall into the realm of what I know best, which is music, art, and action sports, they'll actually tap me about this, because the word that I use all the time, and I don't mean to use an overword marketing term, but it's authentic. And we're not, best way to explain it is if they're like, we think we're going to do this thing, this skate, in your house, which we did, consulting Chris Cole on that. Like, what's the way to do this? The verbiage, that is real legit skate, and it's not major corporations making a guess. Where I could just see some head of marketing asking his 11-year-old son, "Is this cool in skateboarding or not?" And his kid actually scooters, and the kid goes, "Yeah, that looks cool, Dad," and they do it, and it's just that blows any credibility out of the water, right? Not doing it, and you have to be authentic, and we're really careful if we are going to take not a stance, but if we're going to go into something around that we're doing it the right way and people know we've done our homework, versus just that seems to be cool. And again, a lot of brands, by the time they've latched onto a trend, by the time they get the creative done and they get it out there, it's already passed a lot of times, or they've done it in a half-baked manner, which isn't funny, isn't intriguing, isn't cool. It's very poorly done. As a matter of fact, you can see I read blogs every night, but you'll see funny commercials of, trying to integrate skateboarding or try to integrate punk rock. And it is so unbelievably cliche and poorly done. It's actually embarrassing. It really, really is. So if we're going to do that, I think everyone's really good at making sure that we've crossed our T's and dotted our I's. And people know it's coming with thought behind it and not just, this is the thing where Liquid Death is going to do it. Like, no, we're real careful with that, and frankly, Mike is judge and jury on everything. At the end of the day, he's got to get the thumbs up. And on that, no, I like that. And a lot of stuff gets shot down. A lot does. And frankly, there's been things that I thought were absolute home runs. It didn't really have traction. Other things I thought, that's cool. And it exploded. So it shows you what I know.
So when you wake up in the morning and you get in front of the computer, what's the first thing that you're always thinking of before you start the day? Is it, how do I get more cans in hands?
Exactly. It's literally, we should leave no stone unturned, because we're water. Okay. We should be in every kindergarten. We should be in old folks' retirement homes. There's no reason why any mechanic, teacher, custodian, aerobics instructor, football coach, pro tennis player, whatever it is, they need water. Like there's no excuse. Everyone, if anything, it's my problem is I've got to figure the work-life balance, which I think have been pretty good. And I keep telling my team too, like take some time off. But when you're on, you're on. Like, the one thing that's great about my team is that they're literally a phone call away. Like, they know if I'm calling or if I ping them, like, pick up, because I rarely do that. But if it is, it's like super important. And you need to have a team that can react that fast. But when I'm sometimes it's scared to open my laptop in the morning because I just get flooded. But it's a matter of that. What I do is just go through and prioritize if there's something hot. And though I don't condone this, because I'd like to think we're a lot more organized than this, last minute, that's tough. But we all know that artists, skaters, musicians, whoever is the cool kids, don't plan. They just don't. But they oftentimes have the coolest events or activations. And my thing is, let's be there, because a lot of brands can't act that fast. we don't answer to anybody. I don't have any now. Again, if it's something I think that could have legal ramifications, I'm getting legal counsel involved. But if it's something like, hey, there's a last minute event here, I'll be like, get in an Uber with 4 cases and show up. No brands can act that fast, and that's how we won it passed. That's what we did. We got beer and all these things that any other beer brand, because you had to be 21 over, it had to go through legal and had to be signed off by 6 managers, whatever. And we never ever did that. We just showed up. Was that always legal? No, but I can talk about it now. But here we're water. We're water. Now, where we get killed is obviously freight because it's expensive. It's heavy, right? It all comes to pound it, right? How much it weighs, whatever. But to me, if we have to expedite some cases, and it is just I can't miss event, that's really important. That pays off. And again, I could never show you, hey, Cole, this is the amount of product we moved because I got us into that graffiti event or that punk show or whatever. I can't do that, right? But Mike doesn't expect that. He would look at it and go, yes, that was the right place for us to be. Not giving a second thought about what kind of sales we're getting out of it, but you need people of similar ilk who think that way. And that's why we're going to win, because we have a bunch of people that understand. And I try to go, whenever I'm in a city, I try to spend time with the salesperson we have in that town. I don't know all of them in person. Kind of explain what I do, because I'm sure from a distance, they're like, what does this guy do? Like, wait, he's not in sales, he's in marketing, but he does what? But once they spend time with me, they realize that. I was just out at, ironic, back to Tony Hawk. He had his Vertler event in Salt Lake City, and our FSM, our field sales guy out there, field sales manager, he's great, whatever. And he said, hey, if you don't mind, I have this huge display I have to build at a Smith's, which is a big retailer for us. So he and I, and then we flew in 2 of our field marketing managers, our one from Denver and one from Austin. They came in, and we built this 4-pallet display, which is basically skeletons playing metal. And I didn't think twice about it. Of course, I wasn't wearing sleeves, as you don't, but I had my sleeveless shirt on. But we rolled up the sleeves and we built this thing. It took us 2.5 hours. But to me, it's like no one's above anything in the company. Everyone should be pitching in. And I told my team yesterday on my weekly call, you all need to get with the salespeople by Christmas. You all need to go out and build displays with them. And that's just because you got to learn what they're doing. They need to learn what you're doing. Again, I'm not like forcing it saying you have to do this. I want you to load it. They should enjoy it and be out there. And then the mutual respect starts. Oh my God, the salespeople are like, oh my God, they come and help me build that display. And my people are like, oh my God, these guys and girls work so hard. They're out there just busting their humps. And our salespeople are gnarly. Like, talk about having your hand held to the fire, like with sales bogeys. I mean, we have a very, very aggressive sales crew, but it's working. It's paying off in spades. And that is something you can scale. Like, you can see the placements we're getting and the velocity and the amount of retailers we're opening daily.
So I'm curious what your expectations were going into this job, and now that you've been at it for some time, what have you learned? What's changed?
It's a really good question. The nice thing is it's all unfolding as I thought, because I had long conversations with Mike before I took the role, but deep down I knew I was going to take it, because it was so refreshing to be with someone like Mike who had seen my body of work, and it's like, I'm going to let you do what you do, go, and those who've let me do that, my bosses in my career, have been rewarded. Anyone who's tried to micromanage me, it doesn't work. It won't work, because I just let me do what I do. Now, yeah, we're going to have some guardrails, some parameters we want to do, or things we want to focus on. Sure, I got it. Marching orders, whatever. I'll push back if I think things don't make sense, or they're, but for me, I think that the only thing that's changed, and this is a positive thing, is that my wide berth that I have, and Mike saying, you know what, get the right people in here, and I've been able to build a team from scratch. It started literally with 6 of us, and now I think the company's topping at about 160 people now. So it's from 2019, when the first can came out, and there were 6 of us, to now the size we are. I knew we were onto something, but I didn't know this trajectory was coming. I didn't see this. I mean, I knew it was going to be out, but this is like, as I said earlier, this is a crazier trajectory than Red Bull. And look where Red Bull is. So, and the difference is we're something that anyone on this earth can consume. Anyone. No, I've never heard of someone being allergic to water. So that's where therein lies, the rub, where there's no excuse for myself or my team that we aren't getting involved in everything, because there isn't one sport, there isn't one walk of life, there isn't one race, color, creed, or we welcome everyone. Like everyone, should be drinking water. So we just don't discriminate with that. We want to get it in people's hands. We want people to enjoy it. Like make drinking water cool, make it fun, So we're doing that dash of fun, with that. And it's been fun to see people gravitate and say, wow, I believe in your mission, what you're trying to do here. And this is cool. And I can't speak for everyone, but I know there's some people deep down who are like, wow, by me buying this can, I'm doing some good. Like part of this percentage of what I just paid for is going to go help remove plastic. And it legitimately is versus just being, empty promises.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like fun is key.
Yep.
Fun. If you're not having fun, then what's the point?
100%. Yeah. I'm starting to realize this whole thing with people being depressed and unfulfilled and all that, it's real. It's real. And I just could not stand for it. This is me personally speaking. I couldn't be chained to a desk and rot behind a desk, whatever. I'm just not wired that way. I couldn't do it. And some people like that. They like the uniformity of it. They like to punch the clock every day. And that's fine. No judgment here. I'm just saying for me personally, I need to keep moving. That's why this has worked so well. Because I am 100 miles an hour and I can multitask and I don't miss deadlines and it's going to get done if I say it's going to get done. And that's worse versus there's a lot of people talk a big game and they don't follow through or they don't return your call, whatever else. And even the people, again, who 2 years ago kind of were like, good luck with that. And now they're coming back like we're buddies. I'm like, I know who you are. I remember who you are, and you basically, chided me before. And now you think we're buddies? Like now, given if you work something out, give everyone a fair shake. But if you're shady about it, like I can sense that. Then you lost your turn. Like, good luck, So I always kind of tell people it's pretty simple rules. Like treat others as you want to be treated, And it's amazing what'll happen in this world if you just treat others as you want to be treated. It's not hard, It really isn't, and it's lost on people. It really is. So if people ever got to meet my coworkers, you'd realize what a welcoming, just good group of people. There just isn't an attitude in the group. There just isn't, and that, again, hats off to, not only what Mike has built, but just the hiring managers and the teams we've built on the sales side, on our logistics side, on our finance and accounting, on our human resources. We just have such a solid group of people. I mean, we just had what we call it the death party in April. We gathered the whole company and Mike was like, you don't get to present. Nobody gets to present. Like, we're not doing anything. And it was literally just 3 days for everyone to have fun together. Go surfing, went skating. People could go for hikes. People could get a manicure together. They could go get a massage. It was just team building. And it was the smartest thing I've never been in a brand where that's what we did. There was no agenda as far as you didn't have to sit down and listen to someone yap about how great the sales are and listen to my incessant banter talking about how great my team is. He was just like, no, I don't want any of that. I literally just want us to all get together, and happy worker is a good worker, right?
Stix, I'm afraid we're about out of time for today, but I want to thank you again. I also want to encourage folks again, just to go do your own research. As Stix said at the beginning of this call, you guys will never define what the brand is to anyone. And I think everyone has to go figure that out for themselves. And so there's a lot of great resources out there on the YouTube, on the website. I'd encourage folks to go take a look. Stix, is there anything that you want to leave our audience with before we sign off?
No, I just hope people keep murdering their thirst out there with water. Well, hopefully liquid death, but no, we just check out the brand. And again, I would love to get feedback from people what their preconceived notion is, and then after they've actually tried the product, what they think. That's always super, super important. So I just appreciate you having me and appreciate everyone listening to my incessant banter.
Awesome. Well, if folks want to follow along with you, where can they go to connect?
At liquiddeath.com or at liquiddeath. I mean, and you see our TikTok and our Instagram and our website. I'm proud to say that we're pretty much surpassed almost all beverages with our followings now, which is pretty crazy when you consider passing up the major soda brands that have been around a century, and we've already passed them with our engagement and following. So we're really proud of that fact. So thanks to anyone who's been following us in it, but that's just check it out at Liquid Death. or liquiddeath.com. YouTube also.
Awesome. Well, Stix, let's have a great rest of your day, and we'll stay tuned. We'll see what's next.
Thank you so much, Cole. I appreciate it.
If that wasn't a masterclass on branding, then I don't know what else was. I want to thank Stix for coming onto the show. Folks, if you don't follow them already, go follow Liquid Death. It's frankly a masterclass on branding that probably can't be replicated because they're so authentic and they're so true to themselves. If you're interested in watching another video, I highly recommend watching this video up here with David Rousseau from Mammut, where we talk all about leading a creative team. If there's anything that Stix taught us, it's that creativity, people, and leadership is crucial for a successful brand to thrive. And in this episode with David, we dive deep into what does it take to be a good leader, to lead a team, and produce quality creative work. Until next time, see ya.